Hello students, so you completed the first tutorial. Well, welcome to the second tutorial, which will be challenging yet very fun. So if you've just shown Mr. Ueda your first sketch, then to start a new sketch, we go up to File and we click on New. It may give you a message here, do you want to share this model? Click on the button that says Maybe Later. Okay, so let's immediately save this file. So let's go to File, Save As. Up here, click the down arrow and look for your student number. Okay, look for your student number, and then once you've clicked on your student number, come down here to File Name, and let's call this Cube and Net. Cube and Net. So once you've got that typed out, click Save. All right, let's use the tools from the top. Let's click on the magnifying glass, the zoom tool. Let's click on that. Let's point the magnifying glass towards the girl's feet, and then let's scroll in. Let's zoom in. All right, so we're going to need a second toolbar here. So let's go up to the View menu, the View pull-down menu, and choose Toolbars, and then choose Large Tool Set. Large Tool Set. So if you ever lose this tool set, you know how to get it back by going to View, Toolbars, Large Tool Set. Okay, so now we've got additional tools down the left-hand side. Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to create shapes according to certain dimensions. All right, so let's click on the rectangle tool. All right, so near the girl's feet, along the red line, I want you to click once, and then let go of the mouse button. Make sure your finger is not holding down the mouse button. Then I want you to drag the mouse with the rest of your hand. Okay, so while you do that, the rectangle or the shape that you have created should remain open. It should not remain filled in. Now, if you've done this correctly, then you can type in these dimensions, 30 cm, centimeters, and then type the comma, and then hit the space bar, and then type in 30 cm. Now, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen, you can see the dimensions that I have inputted, okay, that I've typed in with my keyboard. Now, remember, this whole time my hand is not on the mouse. Now, click Enter. All right, so this is the shape, or this is the size of the square that we have created. Now, if I zoom out, you can get an idea of the proportions of that shape, okay, compared to the girl. All right, now again, if you've done anything incorrectly, you can go to Edit, Undo. Undo is always the first thing. So I'm going to go through that step again. I'm going to click on the rectangle. I'm going to click near the girl's feet on the red line. I'm going to click once with my mouse button, and I'm not going to hold the mouse button down. I'm going to drag out, okay? And then this time, what I want you to do, actually I want everyone to redo their square, I should have said that. And this time I want you to put in, remember my hand is not on the mouse, I want you to type in 20 cm, comma, space, 20 cm. And once you've typed that in correctly, you can look at my screen in the bottom right hand corner, you can hit Enter. Now you'll see that it is a little bit smaller square. So I'm going to use my Orbit tool, and I'm going to look over top of that square. You can see, you can verify that it is a square. Okay, so we're going to practice that one more time. So I'm going to go to Edit, Undo Rectangle. Okay, I'm going to click on the rectangle tool again. I'm going to start at the same spot on the red line. I'm going to click once. I'm going to take my finger off the mouse button. I'm going to drag my mouse. Now you'll see that the shape that I've created, I haven't locked it in yet, but the shape is clear. It hasn't been filled in. All right, I'm going to type in my original dimensions, 30 cm, no spaces, comma, space, 30 cm. Now the fact that one side, the length, equals the width means that I want to draw a square. All right, you can see the dimensions in the bottom right-hand corner. All right, so if you've matched mine, then click Enter. Hit Enter, and it should lock it in. It should go gray. Okay, I'm going to use the Pan tool so that I can center this shape in the middle of my screen. Okay, so now let's use the Push-Pull tool. Let's click on the Push-Pull tool. and I'm going to click once on my rectangle, on my square, but I don't want to hold the mouse button. Do not hold the mouse button. So click once, and then I can just drag my mouse, and then I could pull it up as high or as not as high as I want. So I can pull it up a little bit, or I can pull it up a lot. Now what I want to do is I want to create a cube. Now if you know anything about the properties of a cube, you know that the length equals the width equals the height or the depth. So remember, my hand is not on the mouse button. In fact, my hand is not on the mouse at all. So that will allow me to type in the height, which is going to be 30 cm. If you look in the bottom right hand corner, you can see the dimensions that I've typed in. Now it's not locked in yet. It won't lock in until I hit enter. So I'm going to hit enter right now, and that should adjust it to 30 centimeters high. Now to get a sense of how high that is, let's orbit around. Let's compare it to how high it goes to the girl's legs. Maybe about just under her knee, maybe near her shin. And then I can look at it from all angles just to confirm that it is a cube. Okay, you want to make sure that every face looks exactly like a square. Okay, all right, let's save. Let's go to File, Save. Okay, so let's use a new tool now. I'm going to go down the left hand, the large tool set, and I'm going to look at the 3D text tool. I'm going to click on the 3D text tool. It looks like an A, kind of like at an angle. So I'm going to click on the 3D text tool, and then this window should pop up. So what I want to do is, in the enter text window, I want to type in front. And let's experiment with the height here. So how about I try 1 centimeter, 1 cm, no spaces. And then I want to make sure that this extruded window here is set at 0. It doesn't matter the units, this is set at meters, but as long as it's 0. All right, let's click the place button. And then what you'll notice is now you've got the letters attached to this cursor here. So what I want to do is I want to place it in the middle of that face. And then where you want it to stick, you click the mouse button. Now when I look at this, that label is very, very small. So I want to adjust it. So you see how it's highlighted here in blue? If it's still highlighted, if it's not, you can click on, for example, if you clicked off of it, you can click back on the selection arrow, you can click on your letters, and then you can hit the delete key on your keyboard, the delete key. Okay, so let's go through that again. I'm going to click on the 3D text tool, and I'm going to type in front, this time maybe not capitals. And then the last time 1 centimeter was too small. So let's try 3 cm, 3 cm. Okay, and then click place. All right, so that's a little bit better in terms of its proportion against the side. So I'm going to try to place it in the middle, and then where I want it to stick, I'm going to click. All right, let's use the orbit tool, and then let's go over to the top. Okay, let's click on the 3D text tool again, and then let's type in top. Now it should remember the height. It should remember the font. I just kept it at Arial Narrow. I kind of like the fact that the letters are quite skinny. All right, I'm going to click place, and I'll place it on the top here. Okay, remember, click to lock it into position. I'm going to use my orbit tool, and I'm going to go to the side. I'm going to click on the 3D text tool, and I'm going to type in side. It should remain at 3 centimeters. Extruded should be 0. I'm going to click place, and I'll place it here on the side. I kind of want to line it up to where the label for the front was. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to click to lock it into place. All right, let's orbit to the back. Let's click on the 3D text tool. Let's type in back. Again, the height should be already remembered as 3 centimeters. Extruded should be 0. And let's click place. I'm going to place it right here. All right, let's orbit around. And again, sometimes you'll have the girl's legs in the way, but you want to get a view, a vantage point where the girl's legs are not going to be in your way. So let's click on the 3D text tool, and then let's type in side. This is another side. So let's click place, and then place it here in the middle of that side. All right, so there's one more side that we haven't labeled, and that's the bottom. So let's use the orbit tool and go to the bottom. Let's click on the 3D text tool and type in bottom. and then place. Okay. Now, depending on your view, your letters might be upside down. Don't worry about that. Okay. So I'm going to click here to lock it into the bottom. All right, let's use the orbit tool and let's go back so that we're facing the front at a slight angle. Okay, so we've labeled all the sides. So let's go to File, Save. Now again, you don't have to wait for me to tell you to save. You can save at any point to protect your work. All right, so we're going to do something different now. So let's click on the Selection Arrow tool, the Arrow tool. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to use a combination of mouse clicks and your keyboard. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to click on the ground so that anything that was highlighted is going to deselect. So let's click on the ground first. You're going to click. All right, so you're ready to begin. Let's click on the front face. Okay? And then I want you to hold the Control key. And then when you hold the Control key down on your keyboard is where the Control key is, you'll see a plus sign now is attached to your selection arrow. So with that plus sign, with you holding the Control key, I want you to click on the letters that say front, and you'll see they will be highlighted. And then I want you to click on the top edge here. Be very careful that you're only getting that edge. You're not touching the top face. Again, I've still got the Control key pressed down with my left hand, with my left finger. Then I'm going to click on this right edge. Again, make sure that you don't click anything on this side. I'm going to go over here and click on the left edge. You'll see that it's highlighted in blue. And I've got one more part on the front, and that's this bottom corner, this bottom edge here. So now that you've got all 6 things highlighted, you can let go of the Control key on your keyboard. Okay? Then the plus sign will disappear from your selection arrow. Now, I want you to be very careful here. I want you to right click on your mouse, not left click, right click on your mouse, and you'll get a number of options. This is the option that we're looking for. Be very careful that you're choosing Make Group. So now left click on Make Group. And now you'll see that now it has become completely highlighted as one kind of group. Okay? All right, important step. Deselect. Click on anywhere on the ground so that this blue highlighting disappears. So deselect now. This is very important. If you don't deselect, then all of your groups will become attached together, and that's what we don't want. So let's deselect on the ground, and now you'll see nothing is highlighted in blue. Okay, let's orbit around to the side. Again, look at it from an angle. Okay, let's go through those steps again. Let's click on the Selection Arrow tool. Let's first select on the side, okay, on the face it's called. Then hold the Control key down. You'll see the plus sign is attached to the cursor, to the arrow. Now click on the letters. Okay, you'll see that they are now highlighted. Now click on the top edge, all the while holding down the Control key. Please make sure that nothing else is highlighted. Now click on the right edge. Click on the bottom edge. And click on the left edge. Be very careful where you're clicking. Make sure nothing else is highlighted. If something else gets highlighted, then deselect and start again. Okay, now let go of the Control key. All right, now right click anywhere on this side. Right click and choose Make Group. Okay, now you'll see it looks a little bit different now. Now that group is locked. So deselect, click on the ground. Okay, make sure nothing is highlighted in blue. Okay, let's orbit around to the back. Okay, we've done it a few times now, so let's go through the steps. Let's click on the Selection Arrow tool. Let's first click on the face, on the back. Then hold the Control key, click on the letters. Then while holding the Control key, click on the top edge. Make sure you only click on the top edge. Click on the right edge, click on the bottom edge, click on the left edge. Make sure nothing else gets highlighted in blue. When you've highlighted those 6 things, let go of the Control key. Right click and choose Make Group. Make sure you don't choose Make Component. Make Group. Okay, let's deselect. Always remember to deselect. Click on the ground. All right, nothing is highlighted. Let's orbit around to this side. Again, always position it so that you're looking at it from an angle. It's easier to see if you've selected anything else. Okay, let's click on the selection arrow tool. Let's click on the side, the face, hold the control key, click on the letters, click on the top edge, the right edge, the left edge, and then, the left edge and then the bottom edge. Make sure nothing else is highlighted in blue. Let go of the control key, right click, and choose Make Group. All right, so there's one more group that we haven't made, so let's go to the bottom. Now we don't have to because we're actually not moving the bottom, but because it's the first tutorial, let's practice. So let's click on the selection arrow tool and look what I forgot to do. I forgot to deselect. So let's see if I can just select anywhere in the air here. Now it's no longer highlighted in blue. Let's click on the bottom face, hold the control key, click on the letters, click on the 4 edges. Make sure you're only clicking on the edges. Let go of the control key, right click, and choose Make Group. Okay, so we got a lot of practice doing that. So now let's rotate around, let's orbit around, and again we're looking at the front face, but we're also seeing a little bit of the top and the side. Now you see that it's still, the bottom is still highlighted, so let me click on my arrow tool and deselect. All right, let's go to File, Save. All right, so now the most exciting part is going to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out a little bit, okay, just a little bit. Remember, you're looking at the front face from an angle. I can see the front face, a little bit of the side, and a little bit of the top. So let's click on the selection arrow tool again, the arrow tool, and let's click on the front face. Now this is what it should look like. This area, the actual face, the front group, the face of it should not be highlighted in blue. Okay? Instead, all the edges are highlighted with the letters. All right, we're going to use a new tool here. We're going to use the Rotate tool. Okay, so let's click on the Rotate tool. All right, so the Rotate tool, there's a very specific way you have to use it, so you got to listen carefully. So you're going to position the Rotate tool in the bottom right-hand corner of this front group here. You'll see that it's got like a little kind of target in the middle of it. So you're going to find that corner where it says End Point in Group, and you're going to click and you're going to hold down the mouse button. Now this is one of the few functions where you actually have to hold the mouse button down. Now, while the mouse button is held down, you're going to drag your mouse along this bottom edge to get to the other end point in group, and then you're going to just hover over that end point for about 1 second, and then you're going to let go of the mouse button. It's very important that you let go of the mouse button at this point. Okay, so now move your Rotate tool. Now again, I'm just moving the mouse. My finger is not on the mouse button. And what you're going to do is you're going to position it so that it says On Face in Group. You're going to click once with your mouse button. Do not hold the mouse button down. And then it should allow you to move the mouse and rotate this down. Now again, this whole time, my finger is not on the mouse button. All right, so what we want to do is we want to line up the lines so that it's going to lie flat. Now you see there's a dotted line here that shows you the position or the angle of this rotation. So what we want to do is we want to line it up with the bottom edge of the box, and then it will kind of lock into place. But for you to lock it, you have to click a second time. The second time says stop that motion. So I'm going to click. Now that it's lying flat, I'm going to click, and now it's locked into place. Now remember, at any time if you make a mistake, you can go to Edit, Undo. Now I want to prove to you that it's totally lying flat because I'm going to use the Orbit tool, and you see that is totally lying flat on the ground. Okay. All right, so let's click on the selection arrow tool and let's deselect. You notice how this is still selected here. All right, let's deselect. Click on the ground. All right, so let's try it with this side. Again, I'm looking at the side from an angle. So I'm going to click on. It's very difficult to rotate something directly towards you. So never have this kind of view where you're looking at it straight on. Always look at it from a slight angle. So I'm going to click on this group, and the whole group should be highlighted. I'm going to click on the rotate tool, so we're going to get a lot of practice with this. All right, so this time I'm going to start in the bottom left-hand corner. I'm going to position that target right on the corner where it says endpoint in group. I'm going to click and I'm going to hold the mouse button. This is the one time you get to hold the mouse button. You're going to drag along that bottom line slowly until you get to the other corner where it says endpoint in group. Hover that mouse with your mouse button pressed over that corner for about a second and then let go of the mouse button. Let completely go of the mouse button. Now move your mouse up towards the side here where it says on face in group. Now click once and then let go of the mouse button. And then that should allow you to pull that face down. And when you think you've got it lined up against those horizons there, click again a second time to lock it into position. So I'm going to click a second time because I know this is straight. And that will lock it into position. Let's have a look. We want to make sure that it's lying flat on the ground. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, so now how about we move to the side? It doesn't matter which side you do next, but I'm going to move to the side next. Okay, I'm going to rotate around. All right, so let's click on the selection arrow tool and let's deselect. Always click on the ground before you start something new. Let's click on this side to activate or to highlight that group. Let's click on the rotate tool. Okay, let's start in the bottom right-hand corner. Now, it doesn't matter if you start in the left-hand corner or the right-hand corner, but they have to be one of the bottom corners. So let's click on this corner where it says endpoint in group and hold the mouse button. Drag your mouse along that line slowly and then get to the other corner where it says endpoint in group. Hover there for a second and then let go of your mouse button. Now come up here along the side where it says on face in group. Click once, let go of the mouse button, and then it should allow you to rotate that side down until it hits the ground. When you've got it hitting the ground, click a second time to lock that motion. I'm going to click a second time now, and then orbit. Always check to make sure that you've rotated it far enough. Now, if you find that you've gone too far or you haven't gone far enough, just go to Edit, Undo, and then retrace your steps to rotate that side down. Okay, so we've only got two sides left. Now, this is the part where if you're going to make a mistake, this is where a lot of people make their mistake. All right, I'm going to click on the selection arrow tool and I'm going to deselect. All right, I'm going to click on the back group. And then I'm going to hold the control key to get that plus sign, and then I'm going to click on the top group. Oh, and then what I realize is I haven't created that group on the top. All right, so it's a good thing we caught that. So I'm going to deselect. I must have forgotten that. Okay, so let's have a look at it from an angle. All right, let's go back to the previous set of instructions. So let's click on the top face, hold the control key, click on the letters, and then let's click on the four edges of that top side. Now, they have to be made into a group or it won't rotate properly. So it's good that we caught that mistake. All right, it wasn't a mistake, we just kind of missed it. All right, let's right click. I let go of the control key. I'm going to right click. I'm going to choose make a group. Okay. All right, no big deal. All right, so let's rotate it again. And let's click on the selection arrow tool and let's deselect. All right, so now let's click on the back group and you see that it's highlighted in blue. And then I'm going to hold the control key and I'm going to click on the top group and that should be highlighted in blue as well. Now you notice the last time I did that it was not highlighted in blue, so that's what told me that I hadn't remembered to make a group yet. Now it's very important that you don't right click and make a group here. We do not want to make this a group. We want them separate as two separate groups that we're going to rotate together. All right, so I'm going to go through that again. I'm going to deselect. I'm going to click on the back group. I'm going to hold the control key down and I'm going to click on the top group. But I am not going to make these two groups a group. Okay, let's click on the rotate tool. I'm going to start this time in the bottom left-hand corner of that group where it says endpoint in group. I'm going to hold the mouse button down and I'm going to drag along the bottom line to the other corner, the opposite corner, and I'm going to get where it says endpoint and group, and then I'm going to let go of my mouse button. Then I'm going to click somewhere along the top area of this group. I'm going to click once, do not hold the mouse button down, and now you'll see that they'll move together. Not because they're a group, but because I've highlighted both groups. All right, I want to get it to hit the ground, and I'm going to click to lock that action. All right, I'm going to go back to the selection arrow tool, and I'm going to deselect. Now, I've got one more group to rotate. So I want to make sure that I select only this group here. Okay, you notice how the bottom group or this back group is not highlighted. I'm going to click on the rotate tool, and I'm going to click on endpoint and group. I'm going to hold the mouse button down. I'm going to trace along that edge. I'm going to go to the other corner where it says endpoint and group, and I'm going to let go of my mouse button. Then I'm going to come up here towards the top of that face. I'm going to click once. Don't hold the mouse button down, and I'm going to rotate it down. And then when it hits the ground, I'm going to click once more on my mouse. All right, let's make sure that that net is lying totally flat on the ground, and it is. Okay? All right, so now I want to spin around so that I'm looking at the net in this orientation, and then I'm going to just use the pan tool and move it a little bit. So I'm going to deselect because I see that this is still highlighted, so I'm going to deselect. All right, let's do one more thing. Let's click on the 3D text tool, and then let's type in net of cube. Net of cube. I'm going to keep the height at 3 centimeters, and I'm going to click place. And then what I want to do is I want to place it here on the ground in front of the net. And then just to make it stand out, I can use the paint tool. I can make sure that I'm on my colors here. And then I could choose a nice color to make it stand out. So I'm going to just choose this lime green. And I'm going to paint inside where those letters are. And then I'm going to deselect. Okay? All right, so I'm going to go to File, Save. If you completed the tutorial, please call Mr. Ueda over to show him. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.